All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into enterprise data chaos to figure out exactly where the truth actually lives in those massive, complex tech stacks. Look, if you're out there building systems, designing integrations, or trying to deploy the next smart AI agent, you already know the deal. Data isn't just sitting around neatly waiting for you to use it. It is messy, it's highly contested, and honestly, it's heavily guarded by different teams. Well, today, we're going to fix that. Picture this. You're embedded at a company called Beacon Hospitality Group. You're managing a massive portfolio, 38 properties, over 5,400 hotel rooms. It's a random Tuesday morning, and your chief operating officer drops this deceptively simple one-sentence request right into your lap. Build an AI concierge that knows our guests. Sounds amazing, right? A slick AI that can chat with guests, process room upgrades, handle complaints, the whole shebang. But this innocent little request, it's about to trigger an absolute internal turf war. Literally within an hour of kicking off the project, 5 different teams are blowing up your inbox, all aggressively claiming that they own the authoritative guest data. Marketing's like, hey, the guest lives in Salesforce. The front desk is screaming that they live in the Opera Cloud property management system. The loyalty director pointing straight to Marriott Bonvoy. Meanwhile, engineering swears they have it all dumped in the data lake, and operations relies entirely on core. And you know the crazy part? They're actually all telling the truth, just from completely different perspectives. So right out of the gate, we've got a massive architectural mystery on our hands. Before your shiny new AI concierge can answer a question as basic as, hey, what room is John Doe in right now? We have to figure out where the ground truth actually lives among these 5 competing claims. I mean, think about it. If your AI agent doesn't know exactly where to look, it is inevitably going to give the wrong answer to the guest. Okay, moving into section 1. Name where truth lives. Look, when multiple teams claim ownership of the exact same fact, you aren't dealing with a corporate politics problem. You are dealing with a systems of record problem. As David Lawson lays out in his foundational book, Master Data Management, a system of record, or an SOR, is the one true authoritative place a fact is entered and stored. The absolute key phrase you need to remember here is canonical-write. If a fact changes out there in the real world, the system of record is the very first system where that update is officially written down. It holds the undeniable truth. And that perfectly highlights the difference between our 2 main players. A system of record is authoritative, but a system of reference, that's a completely different beast. A system of reference just holds a downstream derived copy of that data. Usually it's consolidated from a bunch of different places for read-only stuff, like analytics or a marketing dashboard. The danger here is that systems of reference are almost always a little stale. They lag behind real-time reality. Which brings us to section 2, the tests for truth. So with everybody pointing fingers, how do we actually find the real system of record? Well, we run 2 super effective thought experiments. First up, the canonical-write test. Simply ask, when this specific fact changes, which system gets updated first? The second is my favorite, the silence test. Just imagine if every other piece of software in your entire company just vanished overnight, went totally dark. Could you still answer the business question using only this one remaining system? If the answer is yes, boom, you've found your SOR. All the others are just referencing it. John Gall absolutely hit the nail on the head in his book Systematics with Gall's Law. We literally cannot build a complex AI concierge on top of 5 bickering databases at the same time. It won't work. We have to identify that single, simple, working source of truth for every single fact before we even think about building something complex on top of it. You've got to lay that simple foundation first. All right, section 3, mapping the hospitality stack. Let's take all of this and apply it directly to Beacon Hospitality. What we do is build a system of record matrix. It's a real game changer for cutting through the noise. For every single fact our AI needs to know, this matrix assigns a definitive owner, the system of record. It lists the downstream systems of reference, and critically, it highlights the exact technical write surface used to update that data. Let's walk through these rows. What room is John Doe in right now? The absolute ground truth answer for this lives in the Opera property management system. If the AI needs to know John's room, it must ask Opera. Why? Because room assignments actually happen at the physical front desk inside Opera. If your AI decides to ask Salesforce instead, it might pull yesterday's derived data, and the failure mode there? Oh, it's bad. Your AI confidently sends the guest's expensive luggage to completely the wrong floor. How about a trickier scenario? Modify housekeeping for room 412 to 2 p.m. For housekeeping schedules, the authoritative canonical write belongs to Core. That's their service ticketing system. If your AI agent just lazily drops a guest preference note into the Salesforce CRM, the actual housekeeping staff pushing the carts will literally never see it. The result? The room just doesn't get cleaned, the guest is furious, and the front desk is totally confused because the AI wrote data to a system of reference instead of the true system of record. And our third scenario, checking loyalty status. Obviously, Marriott Bonvoy is the record here. The AI is only ever going to read this data. It has zero authority to write or change a guest's loyalty tier. But actually, catch this. You really have to know your environment. Because Beacon manages independent hotels right alongside the branded ones, this specific row of the matrix changes entirely depending on which physical property we're talking about. Context is absolutely everything. Okay, on to Section 4, avoiding common pitfalls. Getting this architecture right is tough, and there are 3 classic villains of enterprise tech that love to masquerade as the truth. First up is the myth of the data lake. You know the engineers are going to point to the warehouse and say, just query that. All the guest data is in the lake. But let's do a reality check. The data lake is a derived analytical system of reference. It has absolutely zero canonical write authority. And frankly, the data is always a bit stale. Whatever you do, do not let your real-time AI rely on the data lake for authoritative truth. The second pitfall is letting 2 systems claim ownership of the exact same fact. Maybe marketing updates guest preferences in Salesforce, but the front desk updates those same preferences over in Opera. This is an absolute nightmare. It creates duplicate truths. The very second those 2 systems disagree, your AI agent is going to silently return the wrong answer and no one will have a clue why. The fix here, you have to be ruthless. Name one authoritative source for a fact. The other system instantly gets demoted to a synced reference. No exceptions. And finally, pitfall number 3. Let's say you successfully name a system of record. Great, but you forget to identify the right contract. I mean the actual API endpoint or event topic used to make the updates. If you don't give your AI a technical, sanctioned way to write to the SOR, developers are going to invent side channels. They'll just have the AI send an email or trigger some random Slack bot. The canonical write never actually happens in the database, and boom, immediate schema drift. Your system's version of reality just drifts right away from actual reality. Finally, Section 5, your system of record. Look, taming all this data chaos boils down to one cardinal rule for anyone designing systems or AI agents. Before you design a single feature, before you write one line of code, map out that data landscape and explicitly name where the truth lives for every single business question your system is going to touch. One fact, one system of record. If you skip this step, you are practically guaranteeing a brittle system that's going to snap the minute data changes in the real world. Wrapping up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. Look at your own company's tech stack right now. Look past all the shiny user interfaces and the slick marketing claims from your vendors. Ask yourself, how many conflicting truths are secretly fighting for control in your databases right now? Find them, name the ultimate authority, and tame your data chaos. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those tough questions, and I'll catch you next time.